It's, I've read with Mr. Brown, certainly at the Brighton and other places, other than Josh and Yoli. Bear's back there. We've all been around the same block. I forgot to give Bob a bio. I was going to quickly write, she was born in the wagon of a traveling show. But then I'd have to do Cher. Let's see, I have selections that I let my daughter pick out because I haven't done this in a while, so I let her pick things from my chapbooks. All right. This is called Yeah, But What If? And it's in my one book that's actually got an ISBN. What if I agreed to paint you naked, wearing a rented pirate costume, and picture you walking like a dog on a short leash, a choke-chained tube of raw cookie dough? And if I agree to Photoshop away the tomato paste scabs on your shirt and to also blur every place where the flagellation scars show? And if I agree to pee on a bonfire or into a compost pit, while at the same time I rip out my tongue, or yours if you prefer, and single-handedly fan it dry like it's a Polaroid snapshot vacation trip, and at the same time I'm still making eye contact, or if I give you only 2 and not 3 of these scenarios and they rhyme, then will you agree to frame me and mount me and hang me up in your foyer and call me artist and finally admit that you're poetry? Now, if I'm lucky, and I'm damn lucky, if I'm lucky, my yellow kitchen tiles, the ones my friends hate because they're dangerously cracked, plan out their salt-licked blue music overnight while I sleep to flat people voices and stealth carpet noises. If I'm lucky, they start singing right when the coffee pot breathes steam into the grout and makes the drywall sneeze and giggle and blow its nose on a coffee filter before it lets the yellow singing come out. Then if I'm lucky, my cup heats up to a band sound so loud it tastes like the neighbors are watching the weather report on a big TV that smells like tapping aspirin out of a bottle for some arthritis in the knee. My kitchen harmony over here goes running out to their curtain rods, drumming up a throaty red dog leash, unwinding in the yard. And then when I'm lucky, the humming coming from the silverware drawer strikes a note on the belt buckle and the mailbox hinge of the people next door. So that if we are lucky, we bump into each other while whistling along the same one track. This morning, catching a train, we're sharing a breakfast of a musically disordered brain that causes singing in common things, like what happened today. Exactly that way. So what can I say except that I am damn lucky? There is actually a disorder that does cause you to hear singing, to color. It causes synesthesia. It causes you to hear sound associated with sight.
Acid does that too.
What is it? Acid? You do 2 minutes around. I was a method actor, raised by wolves on Marlon Brando movies. Do you remember how you made a cool million sounding like every fireworks finale and Titanic distress flares like ripping open a Velcro tennis elbow pad? Tick, 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 rip. From down here in the radio room of the rescue boat, and every undocumented dark face was assumed trustworthy, so you didn't need a kickstand to lean flans on. And rest and rock and roll smoked like a punk before someone weeded out all the cat tails and run on sentences of gothic proportions and epic importance torn from composition notebooks fit in the little vent slots in locker doors. That was before the sending districts consolidated how you wore your street clothes in updated stealthy swatches after class, when you felt free to chase me, when I ran on like that god. Let's see, something from, this one is called New Jersey Yellowed Pages. Yellowed because New Jersey is kind of nicotine and pee stained. And I grew up here.
I thought it just smelled.
And it smells like it.
Especially around the party.
And this chapbook documents where I was living in New Jersey when I wrote each of these poems. This is my backyard in Long Branch, and I wrote it after I read a sub-headline in the Asbury Park Press that was just so ridiculous that it called for a poem. The sub-caption was "Wore makeup, punched dog," and it was capsulizing the criminal behavior of somebody that they caught doing something. Apparently someone criminally made themselves up and punched a dog in the behavior that they were, the criminal behavior. Anyway, I wanted to share a poem with you to tell you some things. Like how it seems obvious that Stonehenge was probably the world's first drive-in theater, and to compare ancient druids with movie patrons. But as I'm writing this, I wonder if my spelling of theater with an R-E that way will seem affected. So maybe I won't let you read this after all. Something else I wanted to share is this newspaper headline I found provocative. "Wore makeup, punched dog," which was followed by the story of a fugitive's apprehension. It makes me think of subtitles on our headstones, like Joe Blow, beloved husband and father, and of my own headstone waiting in the cold to be engraved with the subheading, "Collected feathers, couldn't bake." And now that we've abbreviated terrestrial history and life and death and bad behavior, I think I'd rather just share how I look when I'm looking to write a poem, as opposed to how I look now reading it to you. In the writing of it, I look not unlike how some people, oh, here's the collected feather, show orgasmic pleasure, which is to say, like I stubbed my toe. You know?
Is that right, Alan?
Like spine-cracking gratitude. But reading the poem, you see a person who might register orgasm with the expression of one who has restored your lucky lost fishing cap to your head. Or returned your wallet, that I participated in your joy by causing it kind of look. Or I look like I do when I spot a cardinal in the yard and I feel compelled to tug on your shirt sleeve and make you see it too. Because even though I know that the world may be lousy with stunning birds and poetry, and by the way, how did people qualify abundant quantity for lice? I mean, did they tell each other in the marketplace it's granular with thieves? Anyway, I remain thrilled at the sighting of cardinals because my first cardinal was a picture on a sugar packet in a series of sugar portraits of stunning birds in a dish on the Woolworth's counter. It was prefaced by a series of packets picturing ancient ships. So I still feel as though seeing a cardinal is as rare as watching a cutty sark climb up out of the ocean's horizontal mist. And I don't report every cardinal that I witness anymore. And I don't share every poem with an audience. Sometimes I tell only my cat. Her diamond eyes, they blink with an educated approval, like a gold star for citizenship, if not penmanship. This one I wrote in Lincroft in Middletown. I was working at the Monmouth Museum at the time, and I often went outside and snuck around and picked up feathers and wrote a poem because there wasn't a lot of traffic in the museum on the Brookdale campus in the summertime, in the weekdays and stuff like that. Harlem Globetrotters' fault. I waited, sat on the ground outside my work, watching my Saturday rabbit swallow pulverized grass with smooth brown fur, his eyeglass hinged delicate jaw working beautiful. We waited, On a stock car rumbly old man, our Saturday jogger John, who ran over and folded, puffing on his delicate knees, he breathed. Out between blue road-mapped thighs, chunks of exhaust up his ass on our beautiful grass, and worked legs that he burned on his lucky day. Accidentally, he showed us his scars, because the old always are. Gripping at their fabric, gathering up their hems, he had lost, or rather, the Harlem Globetrotters had cost him, 3 toes, because he had gotten off work for their show and still had time to set fire to an anthill in his yard. One Saturday, he left us feeling hard in the grass, my rabbit and me. We couldn't see waiting for him anymore. We said, unhinged like on fire, why the fuck we sit here for? Run, beautiful. Here's one that I wrote after I went to the dentist. So this is 3rd Avenue Medical Arts Building across from the supermarket by Monmouth Medical. So that's the fine fair over there. What's his problem? He always finishes me off like a church service, like the pause before we announce the winner of this year's award for outstanding. After this next clip, breathes in his own heroic breath to pronounce me. I got all the decay, but you have to be diligent from now on because there is no more forever. Now, why do you have to say that? In this fancy 4th floor suite, God knows how many chairs, with a hygienist who makes me watch fucking Anna Nicole Smith's C-section on E. She's so pretty and so messed up. Okay. From my insensate while he drills away my last expectation of immortality from my insensate mouth while I'm wishing they'd let me spy out the window on the fine fair parking lot Nazi across the street, rubbing his 5x8 crack and peel red warning sticker onto my Buick windshield, because he knows I didn't take the card into the store. He knows. I know he saw me ditch it behind the medical arts building, and I wish he was my dentist, because he has infinity of these red warning stickers. Parking is for customers only. And he would never dream of telling me forever isn't true. And I'll lose that tooth still owing $500, but at least I'll die before I pay that Nazi off. Pork roll justice, I wrote in Long Branch, but I wrote it, and I did it in the Brighton, I did it with caution tape across the stage, because eminent domain was a big, was in the papers every single day, especially in Long Branch. Pork roll justice. Maybe this was some hoodoo, or maybe just some sort of Jersey-style fuck you, but here's what she did. When the sheriff took her from her house, she hid a whole raw pork roll with a pig face she hand-carved in. She stuck it up with a shiv in the ceiling behind her pantry so it would rot behind the wall, while their contractors and their decorators gutted it all. Her history, flesh, bone, and plastered her home-cooked smell in a dumpster. But they were leaving her pantry intact. They said, like Martha Stewart, it has charm. And they had no idea, because now there's some alarm in their voices at night. What is that stench, they moan? It's just Grandma saying, fuck you and welcome home. How are we doing on the time?
You okay? Another one or two?
Okay. My daughter reported this one. All right. The bird preferred gravity. With its majesty, it bore also a saturnine valence of mortality, stinging like nettles its mental unbalance. Perceiving itself downy in daylight, it saw no earthly shadow. It was the thrall of its own wingspan that kept it forever callow. As sole trustee of its object, it became driven to share the story of glory it would cause once it took to the air. So night after night it would preface its flight, overwriting the margins on sheets of foolscap paper to be the bound harbinger. Only for no quill, it plucked each new feather was sprouting, plus pooled its bloodshed for red ink to draw the account in. Till dawn, it would chew the raw feather ends, making the shape with its beak of the calligrapher's pen. Morning ink turns to syrup as scabs seal the sores. It nurses itself to its nest. On hardtack and cider, it snores. To more heights it won't reach, never knowing its own shadow it casts in its sleep. And one more. Okay. Well, here's a very short one. It's about anniversaries, but it's the breed. And there's a little picture of a dog. And this is the only chapbook that has hand-drawn illustrations individually done. They're not printed in.
Oh.
Anniversaries are the dogs of men. Careless tossing days spin and sail away like frisbees into lost memories park. Canine calendar knows only catch and retrieve. It bites just hard enough to make a man bark. Okay, we were just then. Another dog poem. The yellow dog, through our zoftig bushes, routinely escapes her fenced yard under the cover of untended twist and grind, grown up against the saga of crumbling concrete garage. Watching her, she thinks she has this secret. Her way of elopement is also the marigold secret, happening in the next yard, and happening again in the painting at the gallery nearby. Disobediently more orange than orange, this flower, secreted color, built upon orange and also yellow, and greens and reds, and upon gold's acrylic gravy strokes, painted by a painting mountain and stroked with the brush of a cliff. Sulfur yellow spilling itself from bowls into white concavity that will be called valley and field. And so named, they will begin the plating for added texture of the hardening colors braidscape. The dog, the marigold, the colors, they never come back home the way they left. Escaped from carelessly folded corners of perpendicular, they steal and will return away as if claiming no idea. I had thought this dog thinks she has a secret, but I'm wrong. The truth is, she has a secret, which is thoughtless and not hidden in shades of careful creases and tended corners. And I followed her example. I escaped by a dense tangle, and I'll return, like she, claiming no idea. Thank you.